Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius, thank you very much. Welcome to the programme. NATO has agreed to Turkey's request for Patriot missiles. What effect do you think that will have on the war in Syria?
Well, I think it's a good decision. Turkey has asked to have a protection, and we are deciding to grant this protection through Patriot missiles, and therefore it means that Netherlands, Germany and United States will deploy Patriot missiles at the border of Turkey, but it will be only in a defensive aim.
Do you want to see a more robust way to try to end the war, to try to support the opposition that you have now recognized?
We have been the first one to recognize the opposition, the coalition of the opposition, because we think that if we want to get rid of Bashar al-Assad, we have to show that the alternative is reasonable and efficient. And we've met this coalition. The leaders of the coalition are nice people. They are not corrupt. They are dedicated to the country, and they are more and more united, which was and is absolute necessity. I understand that maybe in the coming days they will be able to have a sort of alternative prime minister, and maybe, hopefully, to have a joint force in their army. Mm-hmm. And it's the way that is the best way to get rid, step by step, of Bashar al-Assad. You must not forget that till now there have been more than 40,000 dead people, more than 2 million displaced people, and we are at the beginning of the winter. The humanitarian situation is a real catastrophe, and we have to be rather quick.
Let me ask you about what you think the opposition has to do. You said they're nice people. Clearly, one of the big fears within Syria and outside of Syria is that it could be just another vengeful mob that comes in, extremist jihadis. What do they have to do to convince, for instance, the Alawites to defect, to convince the circle around Bashar Assad to break?
Yes, you're right. It was one of the greatest fears, because we have to avoid two things. The first one is, after Bashar al-Assad, to have a sort of void, which would be a mess, such as in Iraq. The other one would be to have a revenge. And this coalition has said in a very official way that they want to respect the different communities, which means Alawite, which means Christian, all of them. All of us who have been lucky enough to have discussion with them are impressed by the way they are beginning to act. They are acting united so far as military is concerned, and the next step will be hopefully to design some sort of alternative government with a new prime minister.
So who would be the new prime minister?
Step by step. Sorry?
Who would be the new prime minister?
Well, there are different names which have been quoted. We must wait a few days before the choice would be announced.
So you can't tell me right now who you think it will be?
No, and it's their decision. It's not my decision.
Right.
But there are some names which have been quoted, and I think they are reasonable and wise.
Can I ask you about the decision right now about the Patriots? As we've seen the Russian President Vladimir Putin didn't really like this very much. He's been in Turkey talking to the Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan. But we also hear that there is a possibility that Russia may be looking for ways to slightly modify its stance, to agree to seeing Bashar Assad somehow moved out rather than for him to stay in and lead a transition. What can you tell us about a potential shift in the Russian position?
Mr. Lavrov, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, has told me several times, we are not married with Bashar al-Assad, but they have interest in this region. They don't want that it will be the chaos, and I hope that it will be possible in the coming days to find maybe not an agreement, but at least a common way.
One of the issues, according to people who have met with President Assad, is that he is convinced that he is going to be killed no matter what. So he fears leaving, fears staying, according to Russians who've been to visit him. Is there any idea that you all might have some kind of new plan, some kind of creative exit strategy for Bashar Assad to ensure that he will leave without being killed? I remember not so many weeks ago, Prime Minister Cameron said we must give him an exit.
I think the most important point is that he quits his function. The question of either being judged or going to another country is not a secondary issue. But the most important point is that there could be an alternative government and that Syrian people can be free. If we are able to do that, the other elements will be solved.
I wanted to ask you about Israel and the Palestinians. You supported the Palestinian vote at the United Nations. Why is that?
Why is that? Because we have already been in favor of two states. We think that if we want that Israel, we have good friends of Israel, if we want Israel to be safe, we have to have at the same time a Palestinian state. And France has a particular position because we are both friends of Israel and friends of Palestinians. And we hope that Palestinian and Israeli on the one side, and all of us, I mean, United States, France, and some other European country, will make a move in order to have real negotiation. Because we need a peace. We need really a peace in this part of the world.
You say you're friends of Israel, but France, along with Britain and others, are angry that Israel has announced more settlements in a very crucial area of Jerusalem. How can you make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, it's not contradictory. We are good friends, but precisely because we are friends of Israel, we want to have a reasonable solution. And we thought that it would be a danger for negotiation to decide to have new settlements in a particular location, the name of which is E1, it's near Jerusalem, which would cut into two parts Cisjordania. If it was the case, it will make nearly impossible to have a two-state solution. And it's the reason why United States, Great Britain, ourselves, we have said to our Israeli friends, don't do that.
Are you afraid that Israel is going to be increasingly isolated in the world?
Yes, it's a fear that one can have, and it's the reason why we are strongly dedicated to a negotiation.
Foreign Minister, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.